everyone, I'm Edyta Sitar from Laundry Basket Quilts. Welcome to Quilting Window. Are you sometimes so inspired by your project that you want to make it over and over again? I am right now. I love making the quilt behind me. This quilt calls Flower Garden. It is a cover quilt for our Handful of Scraps book. I still remember when I was making my flowers one by one, sitting at a ballet classes, swimming classes, watching my kids, but also stitching little bit by little bit my beautiful blocks. Or every time I travel, I grab the block with me and stitched it on the road. So now I'm starting another one of those quilts, and I was hoping maybe you want to join me. Do you want to see how I make my little flowers out of hexagons? I hope so. So let's see what's in our quilting basket. I don't have a lot because for a project like this, you don't need much. You need a little scraps of fabric, thread, needle, and a hexagon papers. So if you don't have nice scraps, you can purchase our Scrappy Bundle Dark. This bundle has a lot of the wonderful fabrics that are in this quilt, and also a Scrappy Bundle Light that we have is perfect for the filler blocks. But I have to tell you, sometimes all that you needed is just one flower to try it. And what I did is I prepare a tiny little kit. In this kit, you have 2 pieces of fabric, 7 hexagon, just enough for one flower, thread, needle, and a template. That's all that you needed. If you're making a big quilt, you're going to need hexagon paper, and I'm using the 3/4 inch this time. The original quilt on the front cover is made with 7/8 hexagons. I'm using the 3/4 of an inch because I want my quilt to be a little bit smaller. Then I'm gonna use a template. This is a keychain, and you can use it on your keychain or you can use it as a template to cut your fabric. I'm going to be using 2370 Orifil thread to stitch, or you can use this one that's 2312, wonderful too. Many of you already have the thread. I love using glue, but in my step-by-step, I'm gonna show you how to baste your hexagons fabric to the paper or how to glue it. So I'm going to show you both ways. We're going to need a wonderful hand sewing needles, and this set is just great because you can choose the one that works for you great. Sometimes I want a smaller needle, sometimes I want a bigger one because my hands are hurting and they're not as flexible. So you can pick and choose. There are a variety of sizes. This needle is wonderful. When I travel, I love to take with me those tiny little scissors. So if you want it, those are also available. But in the end, if you're just trying one block, we're gonna have those available. One kit makes just a tiny little flower. I'm gonna show you in just a moment how it looks. Let's don't even wait to see it. It will make just one flower like this from one little kit. So maybe you want to enjoy it. It gives you a startup and you can learn with it how to do it. So where do we start? We're going to start with fabric, and I'm going to need a fabric for the center. So fabric for the center, and I have a little yellow fabric, and I took this template, and from this template I have cut my hexagon for the center. Then I'm going to need fabric for the first round and a second round. Just because I'm doing 2 rounds, I'm gonna lay 1 layer of this fabric, but then 2 layers of this because I need twice as many pieces as the first one. So I just lay my fabric one on the top of the other. I'm gonna quickly show you how I cut it. I pre-cut my strip to 2 inches. I put my low keychain template. I grab my rotary right there and cut it. Perfect. Let me move this book to the side. It's a wonderful book, but I want to rotate this mat so it was in my way. Oh, let's do it this way. Put my fingers right on it. Stay away from the edges. Cut it and cut it. Super. Now look, in just no time, I make a cut bunch of my hexagons. See, I double on this color right here and just single here. You're gonna need 6 pieces for the first round, 12 pieces for the second round, and you're gonna need a 1 center, and I'm using a beautiful yellow accent for the center. Where once you have finished cutting your fabrics, and I already cut a bunch of them, let's start up. I'm gonna show you 2 different ways how to create a little hexagon with your paper. I'm using a hexagon paper. This paper is 3/4 of an inch. I'm gonna center it up in the middle, and I love to use those little clips for bindings just to hold everything in place for me. So that way things are not moving as I have to baste and work with it. I have put in my needle my thread, and I have put a single thread, and now I'm gonna put a little knot in the end of my thread, just like this. All right, now I'm gonna start by folding the edge gently around the paper, creasing it with my fingers, and now I'm gonna go ahead and fold it one more time, the next edge. Notice this beautiful fold right here. I'm gonna put my needle right between the fabrics, and I am staying away from this corner. I'm more towards the center of my hexagon, and I'm gonna pull the thread through it and hold down with my finger right here, so I can now make a first stitch. The first one, I only grab the top layer, then when I go back, I grab all the layers of fabric, just like this. Super. If you need it, no one is stopping you. Do it twice, so that beginning it's nice and tight. Perfect. Now I'm gonna turn it again, fold it gently, crease it. Perfect. Now stitch it. Let's do it. Wow, this is coming fast. I'm only stitching the fabric. I am not basting to the paper. Yes, you can baste it to the paper if you would like to, and because it will stay much more secure for a longer time. I'm only stitching the fabric because I want to reuse my paper and be able to pop it from inside there after my block is done. So I'm going to do 2 stitches on that so it holds really nice. All right, one more, and I was talking, so I forgot how many times I stitched it. You know how that works. When you talk, you forget something sometimes. Again, I'm going to stitch it and baste this down, holding all this layer. Wonderful. And now finally to the end, and I have to fold both of those. If you need a little help, you can again go ahead and have this clip hold it for you in place. Perfect. This is a little small, it's in my way, so I'm gonna take it out, and I'm just gonna hold it with my fingers, and I go ahead and stitch it. And then the last one, again, let's stitch all of the layers of fabric. Oh, this is wonderful. I am so excited about it. I have my first hexagon. Just baste the fabric around it. And did you notice what a wonderful hexagon paper? It says, beautiful message. This one, dream. I'm dreaming of a new project. So did you notice how I double stitch so it's nice and tight? And if you need it, you can go ahead, stitch and pull through that loop. It will tie your thread in a little knot right there. And now we go ahead. I forgot my little scissors, so I'm just gonna rip this little thread right here, but I just basted this first hexagon just like this. Isn't that wonderful? Let me show you another way how you can go ahead and secure the fabric into your hexagon paper. This is really fast way to do it. You're going to have a glue, and I'm using our favorite fabric glue from a Soul line, and notice it. I dabbed it gently on the back. I placed it down Oh, did you see this? Be someone's reason to smile. I hope I am your reason to smile today because we're quilting together. So now we have center up our hexagon. We're gonna go ahead, roll the edge, press it gently with our fingers like this, but just before that we need a little line of glue. And notice how I position my glue below, just about 1/8 below the edge of the paper, and I glue it down. And now go ahead, glue it again, just a little stroke, not much, just a little bit. Beautiful. Now another one. Perfect. Let's do it. Few days ago I had a wonderful gathering with just the closest friends, just a few of us, and we were stitching on the fabrics. We kept our distance, you have to be 6 feet apart, but we did stitch together, visit for a few minutes, because it is just wonderful to work with a nice project with your friends. Did you notice what I just did? I went all the way around. If anything pops up, go ahead, go in there, put a little glue so it stays down. Did you see how quickly I was able to make this little hexagon covered with fabric? Wonderful. Now I have a center and I have few pieces that gonna go around. I need 6 of them total, and then I would go ahead and start working on my next fabrics. And now in no time, once you cover all of them, you are ready to start stitching your flower together. And how we going to do this? By just taking the center, placing 2 pieces right sides together, just like this. And you can again grab your little clip, have this clip hold for you. Now you need a needle, single thread, knot in the end. So let's knot it. Beautiful. Perfect. Did my thread just, no, it's right there. I thought it came out of my needle. And now I'm gonna grab this end and beautifully starting at the point with a whip stitch. I'm gonna go ahead and start stitching. Always at the start, at the beginning, you want to put at least 2 stitches because you want those corners to be nice and secure. And now notice it. All that I'm doing is sewing this way. Remember, the movement is towards you. You're sewing this way, just like this. And you're going to go ahead and just grab that edge of the fabric, just the edge, the yellow and the gold, and just nicely whip stitch. How many stitches you need to put in? As many as you would like. I like them nice and tight, but not too many, because I don't like it when it's too much thread in my seams. I want it nice and tight and secure though. So you're gonna find your own rhythm that you're gonna feel comfortable with it. You hand sewing this, so you want to make sure that your stitches are holding everything in place like it's supposed to. And in no time, as you can tell, you're gonna sew this edge all the way together. And look, when I come to the end, I'm gonna go ahead, stitch twice, and now tie it together like this. Take your clip out, open it up. Look at what a wonderful little stitch right there. If you can see the threads, that means the color of your thread need to be a little bit different. I'm using this light thread. I think the 2370, the best thread ever. I use 2370 on this quilt on every seam. It hit so beautifully right there in this little ditch right there. And now another piece, I'm gonna place it down. So I'm gonna put it right there, sew it, and I'm going go ahead, whip stitch right there. Then I'm gonna go ahead and slip back to it, open it up, and I will fold it this way and go ahead and stitch this side and keep going this way, sewing one little bit at a time. My advice to you is take your time, make sure you prep your work nicely before you start, so that way your flower ends up to look beautiful when it's finished and you have nice results. Pay attention that you don't get holes right here in those transition points. So nice stitches, locking your stitch, and make sure that, most important, don't cut your thread too long, because if you cut your thread too long, it's gonna wear out as you stitching over and over. So I measure from my hand down to my elbow, nice 12-inch threads, and that's what I like to stitch with it and enjoy this project. I can tell you are so inspired now and you're ready to do more. No matter what size hexagons you choose, this quilt is going to be beautiful. I want to share with you a project that one of my students did. It is just spectacular. She's not only one of my students, but a good, dear friend, and she gifted me with this wonderful, wonderful quilt, and it's just a smaller version of this beautiful large quilt. And another thing that I want to share with you is this cute little basket. It is full of those little beginner kits, so enjoy it. I hope you grab one of those. And like I said, out of one of the kit, you can make a one flower. And what an adorable little coaster on your table. If I would be doing coasters, I would do 2 flowers, sew them together, whip stitch around it, so that way it has a beautiful flower on the back and front. Because on the back, as you can tell, you can see the seams. One of the girls in our office did this one. Her name is Sarah, and she did a fantastic job on this. And I want to share with you another wonderful quilt. Look at this beautiful antique quilt. Isn't that a beauty? And I love the idea of using solid right here and then beautiful print around it. And of course that yellow center ties it all together. And if you like this kit, we are prepping a wonderful selection of kits, and these kits are going to have a lot of bright and happy pinks and nice yellows for your center. So I hope you are so inspired today to grab a little bit of fabric and try some hand sewing. Happy quilting! Thank you so much for stitching with me, and I hope to see you again. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website at Laundry Basket Quilts for all your quilting needs.